Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud.
And David Lauer.
This is the episode 8 recap of Battle of the Bloodlines challenge.
What was the name of this episode?
Blood is thicker than mud. Or, exploiting people's feelings about DM. I don't know what it's called. So something like that. I'm not too sure.
Wait, where was the mud in this episode?
The mud was, that was the whole mission. It was...
That was brown water.
Yeah, brown water.
There's a difference. Mud has more dirt in it.
Oh, that's so true. When people fell, it was just light brown water, slight discoloration.
They threw a little mud in there, but come on.
But let's talk about what do I got in my notes? B and V talk to Anthony.
Bananas and Vince.
Yeah, a little
B and V talk to A.
Yeah, never go B and V to A. Dirty girl. But you know who does this? Kellyanne. I mean, she's getting talked to by Bananas.
I wouldn't doubt it. Kellyanne, I like her. She's a sweetheart, but at the same time, I'm not overly impressed with her in any single category. And yeah. I mean, she is who she is, and it's like, okay. Well, that's I'm never surprised by her brilliance at any moment. It's just like, okay, you're not giving me a huge reason to hate you right now.
You said that she's I can't even remember what you said. A decent person, a nice person. Yoga, basically. She's like, oh, I'm all about being zen and shit, which is, I kind of like that.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate people with that personality, like, rather than like a Nani or a Nisa who get in the drama and freak out constantly.
Yeah. Anyways, the Bananas, Vince, and Anthony, they're talking to Kellyanne. They're saying, we're thinking about throwing it this next mission. It's a girls' day, and if we throw it, that means you don't have to go in. Which is great, because that saves Anthony. And as we all know, Anthony right now is in Banana's pocket. He's definitely a fucking lapdog.
Nani is not on Banana's lap, so there's a vacancy, you know? He's got Anissa on the right thigh, and now he's got Anthony over on the left thigh.
Oh, shit, yeah, man.
Honestly, I don't fault Anthony for that, because, I mean, he's a rookie, he's new, so why, I mean, if you're going to get some help from a vet who's going to take you on his side... All right, that's a decent strategy. You know, you do need allies in this game.
Yeah, you do. It just really sucks because, you know, they're talking to Kellyanne, and Kellyanne is like, I don't like these guys, or Bananas. But yet her own cousin's hanging out. She's not really putting her foot down and saying, Anthony, no, bad. Get away. You know, she's not doing that at all. Maybe she should have been. Maybe there wouldn't have been this divide between the two of them. Like, I remember Kellyanne always kind of... not anti-Bananas necessarily, but they were always butting heads slightly. They were bumping uglies on the island, but, like, you know, that was never televised, and it wasn't the story of the island. They were still kind of voting against each other.
I think part of the reason for that is, like, Kellyanne, all of her female friends on the show tended to be against Bananas.
Oh, yeah.
So Kellyanne has never usually voted with Bananas. And it wasn't the fact that she didn't necessarily like him, but, like, her allies didn't.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So he's like a moped, fun to ride, but the friends are gonna get pissed off. They're like, that's bad for the environment. He's an asshole or some shit, right?
Yes, exactly. That's my thoughts exactly.
Okay, so they're saying throw it. Oh, Kellyanne does say, I think Jenna and Brianna are a bigger threat in the long run, and that's being strategic, not emotional. She's trying to defend herself. She's like, I don't think we should go this way. We should go this way. I mean, that's a bit of foreshadowing. She's going to go against Jenna later, right? And get taken out by her. She's sitting there right now saying, I think we got to worry about Jenna out of everything. And Bananas just kind of rolls his eyes like, I cannot deal with you.
He's like, no, Jenna, she's the layout. You know, I don't think Jenna's necessarily a layout, but I think Brianna is. Like, if Brianna was in a final, I don't feel like... I mean, we haven't seen anything from her. I have no reason to believe in her.
What are you talking about? She actually does really good this episode.
Climbing on some ropes is not difficult. It's not super difficult.
Well, tell that to the people that fall. Tell that to the people. Tell that to Vince. Huh? Tell that to Mitch.
Well, the guys who are too heavy and they think, I'm just gonna Donkey Kong it across the bottom.
Well, then she is smarter than those
girls like Kellyanne and Brianna. They have a definite advantage because they have 100 pounds to carry across. They're not 220 pounds.
But they're still using their brains. They know that they can't just fucking swing arm to arm. I think we just disagree in the whole Brianna department. I really kind of turned on her. I think she's not that bad. She's so mousy, but I think she's offering us a little bit more, just in terms of the missions. Maybe not in front of the camera. She's just a little shy there.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess with like the new people, you gotta prove something to me before I'm really gonna believe in you. Like if she went into an elimination and did something good, like I have good things to say about Jenna because she's gotten eliminations.
Okay.
But Brianna, like obviously she doesn't go into them for good reason. I feel like.
I think we're both right. You appreciate Jenna for what she's doing in elimination. I think that Brianna's been pulling her own for the most part in these missions.
Kellyanne was saying Jenna is a threat.
Kellyanne was saying, I think we got to be worrying about her more than just trying to throw these things. I'll just go in and maybe I'll take on.
But there's no way she can think that like Jenna's not more of a threat than Cara Maria is. Because like if Bananas gets his way, they're gonna vote in Cara Maria.
Right, yeah, that was the plan. I'm glad that you brought that up. We totally skipped that. But yeah, that's basically Red Team, Bananas, and Anthony plotting against their own, Cara Maria. Mm-hmm. This is, again, teams are almost pointless at this point, and so are the missions themselves. They all have their own agenda here. But you know what? Kellyanne, I mean, she wasn't wrong. Jenna was a threat. She was going to be a threat to her immediately this episode, so who knows? You know, maybe Kellyanne centered herself so much, or she was doing the yoga so hardcore that she had this epiphany. She's like, Jenna. Maybe it was the cosmos trying to tell her that.
And it depends on how you're defining threat, whether you're thinking a threat in a final or a threat in an elimination round, because those are kind of two different things.
She was kind of right, so. Anyways, Kellyanne, she's like, well, I'm going to leave here. I don't want to mess up the zen of this room. So she takes off. Bananas is like, Anthony, go follow her and convince her. And he does. He takes off. He says, hey, Kellyanne, sometimes you got to be dirty to get to the top or some shit.
Yeah, he was trying to get her to focus on the end game. Why she's here. Winning. They need to do everything they can to stay in this game. They need to make alliances with Bananas. They need to go along with that. They need to do whatever they can to keep going to a final.
That's how he kind of convinces Kellyanne, or at least he begs. He's like, I could just tell we could get to the end and we could win. Like, I could practically taste the end. He's run.
Because if it's endurance, he knows, I mean...
Spartan races?
Yep. Yeah. And Kellyanne does yoga. She ran against, in the last episode, the episode before, against Nani 50 times back and forth. That's a lot of endurance. But they need to do whatever they can to get to that final.
I just want to ask, what happened with the Kellyanne, Anthony, Cara Maria, Jamie alliance? Remember that when they helped Kahada win back in the day?
Yeah.
I feel like it was just Anthony siding with Bananas. I think it was a lack of communication between the two, Kellyanne and Anthony, that kind of divided them. Because they are plotting against Cara Maria. They worked with her. So that...
It's almost just... The only difference in the house is that Abe has come. So it's like Abe is there for Cara Maria, so Cara Maria is constantly with Jamie or Abe. So now Kellyanne isn't even hanging out with Cara Maria anymore because her friend is now just hanging out with her boyfriend. So Kellyanne is almost like, well, okay, I'm not hanging out with Cara Maria anymore, so I'm going to hang out with my bloodline, Anthony, and Anthony's hanging out with Bananas.
And Jamie, he's off by himself. He's not really making too much an impression until this episode. Now he's saying, you know what? I can't trust Anthony. He's working with Bananas, and Kellyanne's a wild card. Finally, let's get to the mission itself. What is it called?
Too Clingy?
Too Clingy?
Is that?
What's it called?
I think that's what it was called.
Stage 5 Clinger?
I don't know. I think that's what it was called. That's what I wrote down, but I wrote it down like at the end of it. And I'm like, I think that's what it was called.
So they show up to the mission, and TJ's like, all right, well, as we all remember last season, Diem and Knight passed away. So right now we're going to pay tribute to both Diem and Knight. Isn't that what he said?
No, just to Diem.
Just to Diem? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Because
Knight OD'd, so apparently we can't pay tribute to him. Because that or Jemmy didn't want to come and pay tribute. Oh, my God. Do you think they called Jemmy and they're like, hey, does Knight have like a younger brother? Try to get both of them? And then, no? I don't know.
Shit, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I thought they said Knight and Diem passed away, so we're going to remember them for this mission. But only Diem's little sister Faith showed up, and that makes sense. That's Diem's bloodline. But then it gets a little murkier now that CT shows up, although it makes sense. It's like he's a big name. They were practically married to each other, or you
Yeah.
know, that's how people view them. So
CT loved her.
yeah,
Or fake dated her.
I
Depending
loved it.
if you watch those seasons, how much, I mean, because CT is so, like, bipolar in how he acts sometimes. Like, he would love her adamantly, and then he would just do crazy shit and, like, totally disrespect her. And I'd be like, really, CT, what's wrong with you?
So we're gonna just dive right into it and say like, maybe CT and DM weren't the best of. I don't know. It's
No, I mean, they're definitely, like, poster board material for, like, a dysfunctional kind of relationship. Like, they obviously had great feelings for each other, but they also did not work well together, you know?
well, no one wants to talk about that
Yeah,
right
well,
now. They
yeah.
want to. They want.
Back to Bloodlines, we're gonna fast forward.
They want to bring out Faith Brown, DM's little sister, and then you have CT, who's like this fucking legendary badass, and they're not going to compete. They're not going to join them.
Yeah,
They're just going to demo the thing.
we do have to mention MTV and all the previews and, like, the advertisements they've shown of, like, CT showing up to the challenge. They've shown this since, like, the premiere. Like, CT is showing up.
Yeah.
They've made it seem like he's gonna show up and be part of the challenge. Like, he has the T-shirt on. He's like, I'm here to dominate and smash heads or something.
Yeah.
I'm here to cause havoc. No, they totally misrepresented why he was there for ratings, and it's just annoying. Because, like, I kind of saw it coming, but it's disappointing.
Well, I mean,
Because I love CT so much. I wish he was just there, and it was him and Faith from episode 1. Like,
you would have accepted that as a bloodline?
Absolutely.
How? But how? I mean, I don't mind that they're there, but I'm just like, how do you justify that?
I feel like you could say that with other bloodlines. Even if you're just cousins, like, I don't know.
But DM and CT were not related, and if they were, imagine their offspring. It's just a little weird. But whatever, he's back. He's a star.
Whatever. You could have had CT come back, and then CT's older brother. I mean, oh wait, no. Ooh. CT.
Oh
he
God,
has a
that's
cousin.
dark, Dave.
All right.
So they're standing there though, and TJ's like, DM, she represented the best of everything, and this mission before you here, the too clingy thing, it's a mud mission just like the one that she won in the duel called Ring Toss.
The duel, which we have covered. On our channel.
Precisely. So they cut to that actual episode where she's like, "Oh, I gotta, take off the wig for the first time."
Yeah, because that was a really special moment. Like, me watching it at the time, I didn't really realize it, But after, like, seeing everything she's gone through in her life and all the other seasons, and now that she's passed away, like, that was a huge moment for her.
Yeah. They play a lot of that scene. Finally takes off the wig, CT sees her, and he's like, oh, she fucking turns into G.I. Jane or some shit. What was it? The sexy supermodel secret agent?
Yeah.
And then, she ends up winning, and as we covered it, did she really win? Or was it like a kind of a giveaway?
Yeah, the way that mission actually turned out, it was they kind of let her win. It wasn't like she went and dominated it. It was just all the opponents ganged up on the other people to eliminate them, and they kind of allowed her to win it, and it wasn't really her performance.
We're not here to say
But
to tarnish the memory.
TJ is rewriting history in DM's honor, and who are we to argue that?
No.
But honestly, like, the little montage they showed of DM and CT, like, that, it made me feel emotional. Like, and people were crying. Like, it looked like.
Yeah, people were. I think I got emotional. But I also knew that I felt a little manipulated. I was like, DM did pass away. DM was a great person. But it's so weird to bring them out, Like, do you think they'll keep doing this? Like, especially in terms of CT. He's only here to demo, right?
Yeah.
And from what it sounds like, he might be done. Because, like, before they do the demo, CT and Faith, they're standing there, and CT's like, I was really nervous about coming back. I thought I heard something about how he's like, I'm done now. But he's like, I'll do a demo, this fucking demo, get a couple of G's just to show up.
Yeah, that's obviously what they did, is they're just like, hey, we'll pay a couple G's, and then you come out here, and that way we can take the clips of it and then put it on the trailer for the season, and then people are like, ooh, CT's there, we're going to watch.
Real quick, so is basically CT just The Rock, where he's done with wrestling, but they bring him back for like promos, show up at WrestleMania.
Yeah, and he doesn't even wrestle. He just goes out there on the mic, and he didn't even really have any mic time on this episode that I really thought.
Not too much, no.
No.
But
a little thing in the bar, but that was about it.
so I mean, CT just might be like these special appearances from now on. I mean, I could imagine him continuing to show up.
I really hope he shows up and does another challenge. But I do want to mention how I do feel like MTV is using CT and they're exploiting DM for ratings. Really, that's all they're doing is they're exploiting her death for ratings, and that's why they brought CT back.
Yeah, I was nervous about saying it. I was just like, there is a nice story about them, and she was a brave soul. She battled fucking cancer 3 times, whatever it was, and we've seen her through challenges and all this other stuff. But
I mean, it is good that they're letting her be remembered in a positive light, which obviously there's only one way to remember her is in a positive light. But it is, you can still kind of see through it and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyways, so CT and Faith are about to do it. CT says he's nervous. Faith says that she's a little nervous, and CT's like, don't. DM said that you were her heart, and, it's all emotional. But they're ready to demo the Too Clingy. So it starts off, you got to run up the ladder across the cargo net, then you got to go underneath that and climb and then touch the rope to end it all or whatever. So CT and Faith, they go. And this is a difficult mission. I think it is. I think it's difficult enough. What do you think?
I didn't think it was that difficult.
No? Not too difficult?
No.
So Faith's able to go. She hangs on. It's really like when you go from being on the top of the net to the bottom, that could be a tricky transition, I feel like. I mean, it was for Bananas, right?
Yeah, he had a lot of issues with that.
It hurts.
I don't feel like it's that hard of a challenge. Abe said it himself, like, this was easy. Yeah. Plus, I mean, Anissa did it, right? And she's got that big booty, and she was able to use her legs.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, anyways.
They did it.
Faith makes that transition. I was impressed because, you got to, either you have the arm strength or you don't.
Yeah.
You could fall down and hurt your shoulder and your acting abilities. So anyways, CT, though, he follows Faith on top of the net, kind of coaching her through it. And it's a nice scene. It's a nice little thing that he's helping out DM's little sister. And she gets across, she finishes it, right? Awesome. CT goes, he goes under, and he's just doing the fucking Gorilla Man, Tarzan style. And he's almost fucking there in record time, and he fucking falls. He falls a little short of the rope, right?
Yeah, it just seemed like 3 or 4 feet short.
TJ has a nice hearty laugh about it, and CT's like, it's just fun to be here. And Corey's like, man, CT is the challenge. Like, I grew up watching this guy, and now I'm here, and I see him, but he falls. I'm a little nervous.
I wanted to say CT falling just short right at the end there. It reminded me of Battle of the X's 1. CT and DM.
Oh.
Where CT fell just short and cost DM her one chance at winning a final.
Oh, right? God. These are all these memories we don't typically want to think about.
Yeah,
but
we'll move past it.
Yeah. Real quickly, I'll throw this in. I might edit this out or not. But part of me felt that perhaps CT threw it. Maybe he fell early. Think about it. Faith does it, no problem. She's never done a challenge before, right? CT comes in and he's like, I might as well fall just to either intimidate or to show that the mission is of some sort of decent difficulty. Because you're like, this isn't that hard.
Yeah.
And maybe it wasn't for CT at all, but maybe he was like, I gotta fucking sell this thing.
Yeah. And maybe he was doing it to make Faith feel better that she was able to accomplish it and he couldn't.
Yeah. Although, I rewatched it and it kind of looked like he legitimately just lost his grip, but he could have thrown it.
Yeah, because he was doing it so fast.
And it would look too easy if both of them just.
It wasn't like Anthony, he's going so slow that you're like, something's up.
I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think CT might have I gotta make it seem difficult because Faith did it, no problem.
Maybe. I guess it's possible. I mean, if I had to bet on it, I'd probably say no, but you can't rule it out.
So let's start with the blue team. They're gonna go first. Blue team is like, we gotta fucking win because we haven't won a single goddamn mission this season, So they start off. I'll just go in order, I guess. Kellyanne, she makes it. Bravo for Kellyanne. I'm not surprised at all. Next is Mike, Abrams' brother finishing second. I mean, again, like the guys get there first, then they help the girls go, and then the guys go after that. So a lot of the guys, they kind of like bypass the chicks for the most part. Next is Mitch, and he's doing the all arms technique. Mike was actually kind of crawling using his legs also, but Mitch is just arms. And to me, almost every single person who tried that failed. Mitch is no different. He ends up getting tired and he falls. This sucks because Mitch fell the last episode as well, right?
Yeah, he did.
He's been being kind of shitty a little bit.
Yeah, I mean he's been pretty good this season, but then the last 2 episodes he's definitely come up short. Did Kellyanne? She used just arms.
Did she?
Didn't she? I feel like she did.
I think most of the girls crawled. I mean, when I say crawl, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
backwards.
using your legs
Yeah.
and your hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think she did. I'm not really sure at all. I'll try and think back. Next on blue team is Vince. He's doing all arms. He falls. This is the guy who, just like Mitch, fell in the previous one, and didn't he fell in like episode 3 or something. Vince has been performing pretty piss poor. Nearly all season he's been really bad.
Yeah, Vince is kind of underwhelming, but
yeah.
CT fell too, so I mean, right?
Yeah, but Vince fell way before CT did though.
Mitch and Vince can just say, "Hey, CT fell." So
yeah, is that the key?
That's their excuse. Well, I'm not as good as him.
Next is Jenna. She gets pretty close, but she ends up falling. Next is Jamie. Jamie is out of these 3 guys. This is one of the other new guys, the new bloods, who've been underperforming as of late, and because he fell previously as well. But Jamie actually makes it across. Awesome. Good. Like, he was the captain once. We actually held him in esteem back in the day. Remember that?
Yeah.
We were just like, oh my God, he picked the perfect team. Holy shit, he didn't.
Yeah, I know. And that all comes down to a person who I feel like just, he got booted off the show and it really hurt him was Leroy.
Oh, right. Yeah. We're going to bring Leroy back into the mix.
Leroy's good, damn it.
Okay, and then finally is Anissa. Someone who I was just like, just fall already. She actually makes it. She's slow as shit, but she makes it.
I was positive she was not going to make it. Because, like, the way I felt is, like, has any, like, 2 competitors on a team, like, done so little? Like, her and Rihanna, because they haven't been in any eliminations yet. They've just used Anissa's clout as a vet to stay out of the votes.
Oh, yeah.
And they've just been tagging along, but, like, I don't really feel like they deserve to be there. Anissa did make it this time, so I gotta give her that.
All right, so let's get to red team. Red team's turn now. First is Brianna, who fucking makes it. She's tiny, she's nervous, but she does it. I think there's.
I feel like it's really easy for girls who weigh 100 pounds, like Kellyanne and Brianna, to do these kind of missions, where it's arm strength like that. Like if you're only holding up 100 pounds compared to 220, it's so much easier.
Well,
and I say that coming from like I'm 150 pounds. I'm 5'11", 155 pounds, and when I have to do monkey bar stuff like that, it's super easy for me to do it. But my arms are like noodles. They're super skinny. I have no muscle tone at all. But the fact that I don't weigh a lot, it makes it look easy. Because like I've done it with Eric, our friend, and he weighs like 210. He's a lot bigger and stronger But, like, Eric can't hold himself up with his arms because he has too much body mass.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my reasoning for dismissing Kellyanne and Brianna's good performance.
Okay. Next for the red team is Abram. He gets across just fine. Afterwards, he says, yeah, this is nothing. Like, this is the easiest thing ever. And he continues to hang out. Literally. Hangs upside down, coaching everyone. Next is Rihanna, who Bananas is helping, quote unquote.
Yeah.
To me, this was so fucking annoying. Like, who knows? Maybe she could have done it by herself. She didn't need Bananas' help. Bananas is like, okay, well, you're going to put your leg here. And you could literally see him take her foot and then just let it go. She falls in the mud. Because they want to throw that mission, correct?
Because they know the blue team, 3 people fell. So Bananas knows it's him, Anthony are going to fall. He just needs one other person to fall.
Yeah.
And he guaranteed that someone was going to fall by helping and pushing her off.
So fucking lame. So such a cheap tactic, man.
It's shady, but that's why I like it. Because if Rihanna falls, nobody views her as a very athletic girl anyways. We've never really seen much from her. So if she falls, no one's really going to bat an eye or think anything otherwise. But like, oh, Bananas was helping her because she sucks, but...
Oh, it's clever, yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying, it's a shitty way to try and win, or lose, I guess. In a way, win overall. Where is Rihanna in all this? Where is Anissa, the person who's siding with Bananas all the time? When did they have the conversation afterwards where they're like, Bananas fucking let me go and made me fall? We can't trust him. There was never that scene, so I'm kind of disappointed about that.
Yeah.
Next is Corey. He actually, from what I could tell, he just fucking did the monkey thing, monkey barred it, and he made it through. Corey, again, he's awesome, man. It turns out some people don't like him. They think he's a douchebag, like a sexist douchebag or some shit. Really? And he probably is. Well, he's got the girlfriend back home, and he was sleeping with Anissa, and then he's like, these bitches don't mean shit.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's definitely a bad boyfriend. That's for sure.
But he's a great challenger as well.
Yeah, he looks up to CT, and any guy who, grew up watching CT, and he's like, oh, yeah, CT's awesome. I want to be like him on the challenge. Well, I mean, he's definitely being like her because he's sleeping with girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was that one girl that when CT came on with DM the same season, and then he would slept with that girl.
Siobhan, we're really shitting on the memory that the producers wanted to evoke. They wanted to evoke warm, enlightened memories of DM, all this stuff with CT being there, but we're like, nah, he done her dirty.
If you've seen all the seasons with CT and DM, it's basically 15% lovey-dovey sweet stuff, and then 85% just them hating each other and doing shit to piss each other off. And mainly just CT doing shit to piss DM off.
Yeah, I mean, those percentages might be off, but there might be a lot more bad than good. I'd probably have to rewatch them, but yeah, I don't know why we feel like we have to just stomp on this fucking tea party they have, but it's like a little vigil. They're like, DM, and we're like, no. We blow out the candles, we're like, no. All right, can we move on? Yes. Next is Cara Maria. Please. She makes it. Mrs. Shredded Wheat Biscuits. She's fucking good. No surprise there.
She works out.
She performs. She's the Bananas and Anthony target. They're trying to throw her in, which is fucking whatever. They're trying to throw her in against either Brianna or Rihanna.
Exactly, but you don't know what the mission is, or what you're gonna do in the pit. You don't know what the elimination is, so. Maybe.
And that also...
There's always a chance.
Especially when it comes to the girls. I think when it comes to the guys, it's always got to be just straight up physical.
Yeah.
Girls, they're like, it's about balance, it's about memory, it's, they kind of shake it up a little bit for the girls. What did they do? I'm just throwing that out there, just whatever. But I'm just saying, when it comes to the girls, they're like, it's about balance, or it's about running. But when it comes to the guys, they're like, no, they gotta bleed and shit like that.
Yeah, you're gonna smash heads or you're gonna be playing tug of war.
Next is Bananas. He's out to throw the thing and certainly does. He tries to do the transition from going from top of the net to the bottom of the net and he falls. He's like, my fucking shoulder or some shit.
Yeah, and everyone's immediately like, oh, what the fuck? Bullshit. You're Johnny Bananas. You're not gonna fail. Come on.
Yeah. Again, some more shades of Gauntlet 3 where people are trying to throw the missions and shit. Get rid of girls. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to cut that fat. Yeah, I really liked it at the beginning of the episode when they're talking about, we're just going to throw the mission so that way we can eliminate people we want. And it's exactly like that season, and that's always kind of what happens when you have two teams. And then it's just, the missions, they don't count for anything other than who's going to get voted out. So you winning a mission is just, okay, well, we're just going to tank it so we can vote in who we want.
Yeah, so Bananas, he does his part of the deal. Now it's Anthony. He's the last guy. He's like, I've never thrown anything before in my life. So this is hard. I've never thrown the Spartan races, how do you throw a Spartan race? So he's going, and he's almost near the end, and he's pretending oh, my arms are sore and shit. And he's 6 feet away from the fucking end?
Yeah.
Abram, Cara, Jamie, they're like, bullshit, you're a horrible actor.
It was stupid. Like, if you're gonna struggle with it, he should have been struggling a lot sooner with it, I feel like. I mean, he was a bad actor. Everyone was calling him out for just, oh, come on, we can tell. And then eventually, he falls and he can't do it. And it just annoyed me because we'll see. Do we just want to cut to say who won already so we can talk about?
Yeah.
They cut to the times, like, yeah, Anthony drops off. But when it came to the times, he didn't take long enough. They both had 3 people drop off.
But they were still faster.
Which, it was like, okay, why the hell were you guys faking it? Just hang there, and everyone knows that you're tanking it on purpose, alright? So just hang there and make sure you beat that time. But they screwed it up. They totally botched it. They were trying to act like it wasn't faked. But when people know that Anthony and Bananas are kind of friendly with each other, and then they both fall in, it's obvious they're doing it on purpose.
Right.
So quit trying to act and play a game. Just hang there and just smile and laugh and be like, okay.
Pull an Evan on Rivals 1 where he's like, does anyone know where the jungle is?
I was just really disappointed. It's like, because they beat their time still.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're going to tank it, at least do it right. Like, who cares if they know? They already know.
Yeah, did we say this? But Anthony does drop and pretend that he did fail, like, 2 feet away from the line or whatever.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, boo. But I guess just do it deliberately. Just say, like, I am throwing this. Where's the pit?
Mm-hmm. And they cut to, like, Jamie talking to Kellyanne on the blue team. And Jamie's just fed up. He's like, draw the target on your back.
On your back. Now. This was the best part. Jamie was, like, this reserved, smart, intellectual person who's used to deal with psychopaths and stuff. He was more conservative, the bloodline of Carmarian. But he loses his cool. He instantly becomes 10 times more interesting. Because he's like, I'm going to fucking, he's got the accent already. He's dipping into the Southie Boston projects or whatever the fuck. He's like,
CT brought it out at him.
Oh, shit, that's what it was. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, it's great. He's like, Kellyanne, you fucker. You're fucking going down. It was great. He was just so pissed. What did he say exactly?
Anthony, he's a lowlife and a liar.
It was awesome. I really like this turn because he stays in this mode, this Boston accent mode, for the rest of the episode. He's like, fuck them, they're going under, shit like that.
That's a great thing about people from Boston. When they get angry, that's when the accent comes out.
Oh, I thought they just robbed banks. Sorry. Referring to the
town?
movie The Town. Yeah, because they're like, Boston gets bank robbed every 10 minutes or whatever the fuck they said.
That cannot be true, really? Did they say that in the movie?
That's totally possible. You haven't been to Boston? Southie Boston?
I doubt it. They got some good co-ops up in B-Town. Beantown.
Beantown. Alright, so I don't know what he says to Kellyanne necessarily. He's like, you'll get on anybody who'll give you fucking comfort. And that's when Kellyanne's like, oh, fuck you, Jamie, or something. Rivals 3 alert. These two are going to be partners in Rivals 3.
Really?
Jamie and Kellyanne.
That's great. That's great casting
it's
there.
Based on that one little argument where Jamie actually gave us something. But
what else are you gonna put Jamie up against who?
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
I'm all for them bringing back some of these bloodlines because, I mean, you can't just be like, oh, you're only coming on the challenge for one season and then that's it.
But with Kellyanne and Jamie, they were both interesting enough. And they just happen to yell at each other, and producers are like, fuck, bring them back. Who gives a shit, right? Like, everyone knows by now that these themes are bullshit, Yeah. They're not really rivals. Maybe they were rivals in Rivals 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, God, where are we? Oh, so anyways, either way, red team wins again, regardless of trying to throw it. Fucking ridiculous. So now it's back at the house. They have a quick blue deliberation before they get to the actual deliberation. Once again, Vince is like, we're going to go on performance today, and I'm going to throw in Jenna. Of all people to talk about performance-based, it's Vince. Like, he's horrible. He's bad.
Yeah. Basically, he threw himself onto the bus there because I feel like on next week, because it's Guys Elimination Day, like, okay, well, Vince, even if he does good on the next episode, the 2 episodes prior, he sucked. Jamie says Kellyanne, obviously, because he can't trust her. And Anthony, because Anthony can't think for himself. That's what he said. And it was great, because, I mean, because that's all Anthony's doing is just going along with Bananas. And that's kind of smart, but it's definitely not being your own person.
And I like the fact that it's a bloodline hating another bloodline. It's interesting. It's cool. It makes them both stand out.
Yeah, exactly. They're defining their roles. Yeah. Anthony on Banana's lap and Jamie hating people on Banana's lap.
Yeah, hating Banana's lap. Let's get to the actual deliberation real quick. It's blue team vote first, and it's divided at first. It's 3 votes for Kellyanne, 3 votes for Jenna. I don't really remember who voted for who, but it does come down to Mitch being the last vote. For a second, I was like, you know what? I really want Kellyanne to go in because I hate Anthony. But I'm like, I like Kellyanne, though. So I wasn't quite sure who to think. But Mitch is like, you know what? I'm going to save Kellyanne because she's the fan favorite, as I told her. Votes in for Jenna, basically. Jenna's going in. It's their 3rd pit in a row. So next is red team. They got to vote in someone, and it's between Kellyanne and Anissa. Anissa only gets 2 votes, but a lot of it is Kellyanne. Bananas, before all this, they're like, we're voting in Kellyanne because Anthony is Bananas' puppet. And sure enough, Bananas just does the little like, oh, I'm the puppet master, and Anthony plays along, and it's like cute, but just totally fucking annoying and like kind of pathetic because within 30 seconds, Bananas is like, oh, Anthony, old buddy, old pal, old chum, I'm actually voting in your bloodline. Just to save face. But yeah, you're going in.
Yeah,
thanks for trying to throw it for me.
Bananas, he's constantly doing politics and he's trying to play both sides of the aisle. Like, he did that with Nani. And now he's doing it again.
Yeah.
And that's how Bananas gets by.
Red team, they vote in Kellyanne overall.
I thought it was great that Corey voted in Anissa.
Yeah.
Just kind of a middle finger to her, like, you mean nothing to me.
Yeah, but
it was kind of funny.
But then he had to rehash all the statements that he said before. He's like, it's done. I don't need it. All this shit.
That's really his only storyline from this season, so he's trying to milk it for all it's worth.
That's a good point. That's his only storyline. Well, he did have that alliance that lasted... Yeah, that died before it was even called anything, the 4 Horsemen.
Yeah, they had an alliance, and then like 2 episodes later, everyone's eliminated.
They're the only people left, is Corey and Mitch. 2 Horsemen. That's not a group. That's not an alliance anymore.
That's just a tag team.
No one is really in any kind of alliance, really.
Really, there's like vague, like...
Kara and Abe are about the only solid ones, right?
And then just basically like episode to episode, it's kind of temporary, like who kind of votes with who and what their agenda is.
Okay, so now deliberations is done, and Kellyanne, real quick scene, she goes back to the room to bitch out Bananas for the vote. And who's hanging out with him? Vince and Anthony. Even after voting him in, making him look like a fool, being a puppet on a string and shit, he still gets voted in, and he's perfectly fine with it. But Kellyanne, she busts in, she's like, fuck you, man. I know that the numbers wouldn't have helped, but you could have said something. So this brings up the subject that technically Bananas... Was he that big of an asshole for voting them in, even though his vote never would have counted?
I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's the same way when he voted in Nani, she was going in anyways.
Oh, no, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. Like, people were like, what an asshole. And I'm like, yeah, he is an asshole. And they're like, but he could have argued for him and shit. And I'm like, yeah, he could have, but he's not going to. This whole season is like, Bananas is an asshole. Every episode, they're like, what? I'm like, no, everyone should know this. He should be target number 1 every fucking episode. But he's not. He's burning all these bridges like a fucking arsonist just to watch the world burn, yet he's not going in there himself. I can't fault him for that. What he's doing is almost unheard of for himself because he's always like, oh, politically, I gotta be careful. But no, this time he's just like, fuck it all and shit. So I think it comes down to the fact that in the end, your only true alliance is your partner, is your bloodline, and that's Vince. He's not fucking over Vince. He's fucking over every single person that he comes in contact with who shakes his hand or hangs out on bunk beds with him. He's like, fuck it, because maybe he knows in the end of the season, he's like, we're probably going to be partners again. Because if we're so connected... Maybe I'll get Vince at the end, and we'll just run the final. We'll beat everything and fuck everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it's the partnership that lets him feel okay in the end.
Yeah, he has a strong bloodline. Like even though Vince doesn't do that great in the missions, he's still a big, strong dude that no one's gonna want to go in an elimination against.
Exactly. Vince might not be able to perform in the missions, but we don't know how he's going to be in eliminations. He might be a Leroy.
He's probably going to be a beast.
Yeah. So they go to the bar. It wouldn't be a challenge without the bar scene. But this is a little different. They got some special guests. CT and Faith, they show up, and CT's like, come on, let's fucking get drunk. Well, he's not like that. But they're talking. I think Kellyanne's talking to Faith. And she's like, you know what? DM always talked me up, made me feel great. And Faith is like, yeah, I remember when DM was going through her last bout, she was like, you know, this is all about you, Faith. And Faith is like, this is all about you. Like, I don't know what you're talking about here. You have to survive this.
It was pretty emotional. Like, just looking at Faith, like, when they're showing her there at the bar, looking at her face, like, she looks so much like DM. Just so identical. Like, I could see DM in her face, and it was kind of sad. And, you know, they cut to, like, Kellyanne talking about her and just crying and being very emotional.
Yeah, Kellyanne said that when DM passed, that's what made her want to try one more time or try again, a challenge. Because she's like, DM loved the challenges. She was always like, this is a true test of oneself.
They cut Bananas as well talking about DM. And Bananas fake cried for the camera, acting all emotional. It seemed so fake to me. Did you notice that?
You know what? I bought it. I thought it was real.
I don't know, his little... And then his look down and then look back up.
Yeah, but there was clearly water in the eyes.
Yeah, but he knew to do that. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. It just
like he knew he had to get teary-eyed for it.
Well, hold on though, because when they're at the bar, CT and Faith are talking, and they're with Bananas, and he's telling Faith, he's like, "Hey, this is my nemesis turned bittersweet friend." When DM was down, he really came through for her. So he's really saying, like, you know, Bananas is an asshole on these shows, but he was really a friend of DM's off the show.
Oh, really? Was he?
Well, that's what CT's trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, then there's a thing between Vince and CT.
Oh, right.
Bananas, if you ask him, nothing happened.
Yeah, and he's like, that was stupid, that was nothing. And then after that, a slight smile starts to creep on his face. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't notice that.
Fucking rewatch that shit. So Vince, he goes up to CT and Faith, and he's like, let me crack open this beer here. He's like, I heard that back in the day you would have been my competition. And he's just kind of pushing, prodding at CT, kind of like how Anissa was doing with Kellyanne in the previous episode. And CT's like, back in the day, you would have been on the ground, fucker. Like, you know. But I got DM's little sister here, and we're out of here. We're getting out. You know, so they fucking leave. And it just sucks that this whole nice little evening out was ruined by Vince's guerrilla-like tactics. Like, hey man, you're big, I'm big.
Yeah, it seemed like he was kind of trying to start something, but CT wouldn't have it. But when CT and Faith left, there's something that you might have missed if you were watching close.
Yeah.
As they go to walk away, Bananas looks down at Faith's ass as she's walking away. Did you see that?
No.
Better rewatch that shit.
Okay.
I rewound it because he looks down right at her ass right as she's walking away. Asshole.
Yeah. How emotional can you get? I don't know. It's weird. I mean, if I were to see Faith, and say I'm a Bloodline, I'm new here, and I've watched the show, sure, and Faith shows up, I'm like, is it wrong to look at her ass? Is it wrong?
It's wrong for Bananas to, and then be like crying on camera talking about, oh, DM, I miss her so much.
So you don't trust him. You're saying it was all fake. You in fact lost faith in Banana humanity.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, anyways, they take off after Vince trying to pick a fight. That was annoying. Vince is just annoying to me in general now. Like he's a failure at the missions. He's just annoying to people on deliberation. He always talking about like, oh, well, you did bad. Well, you did bad too, piece of shit.
And that was the last we saw of CT and Faith.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Yeah,
and then, like, they didn't really do anything in this episode.
Yeah, they were here to demo.
They were here to have CT be in the trailer, to get some more ratings, and to bring up DM. That was about it.
Oh, for sure. A quick little thing at the bar. Jamie is just hating on Vince. He's like just drinking beer, and Vince is like, "Oh, look at this fucker, just like listening in. What a creep here." And Jamie's like, "You know what? Bananas and Vince, I've seen them do these things where I'm just like, they're, you know, like I work with the criminally insane or the criminals, you know, and they are right there. He once described Bananas as a serial killer who hasn't killed yet. You ever hear that?
No.
Yeah. It might have been Meet the Bloodlines.
He's so highly intelligent, like Bananas is. He knows how to work everything to work in his favor. And I just love the fact that Jamie, he vows to get rid of Bananas.
He does. Maybe Jamie just fucking calls out Vince next episode. That'd be great. You know, although
that would kick ass.
And they might be pretty even because they both fail at the same missions, you know, except for this episode, Jamie actually beat Vince in this mission. So let's get into elimination. I just want to add this. I haven't talked about Rihanna in a fucking dog's age. I haven't talked about Rihanna in a long time, and she was actually looking kind of good this elimination night.
I want to dog on you, but at one point I said Anissa looked good, so I can't dog on you.
Yeah, you can't.
I was gonna bite my tongue. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I haven't talked about Rihanna in a long time. Maybe she was screwed over this episode by Bananas, but yeah, she's kind of cute. This elimination. Stood out a little bit. This elimination called Spun Out, which is again not just this fucking head bashing elimination that they do for the guys typically. This has a few different factors in it. It's like you got to spin on the chair, then you got to, you know, obviously it's like dizzy bat. You know what that's called.
Except for a hell of a lot tougher because you're spinning a hell of a lot faster.
On the top of this platform, and you get in these chairs that are already wound up. I think you spin until you can touch the ground at least.
I thought I had to stop spinning.
Yeah.
Or like the ropes, because like there's 2 ropes, you know, on either side of the swing that go up, and it had to be completely unwound. I thought.
Either way, once you get there, it's divided into 2 rounds. The first round is you just gotta go on this balance. You just gotta balance for 10 seconds.
Yeah, stand on the log, balance for 10 seconds. And right as they said that, I'm just like, same thing I thought when Kellyanne was going against Nani. I was like, Kellyanne does yoga. Oh, yeah. She's got this.
Yeah. And then the second round, of course, will be putting up these logs, all these little bits of wood, these logs, and just pile them straight up, and then your time will be stopped. So round 1 starts. They start spinning, and their necks are just getting cranked to the side, and they're just spinning so out of control.
Yeah, they're going so fast. There's like the G-force, like being on a roller coaster where you're just, ooh, you can't even frickin' move your head or your neck because you're going so frickin' fast.
Yeah. Round 1, Kellyanne actually gets off her chair first, goes up to the balance thing, really has no problem at all. She gets the time. Jenna's a little bit behind her. Then their time is cut off. Round 2, they go in the chairs, they start spinning again.
Kellyanne, she kept getting to the bottom for both times, spinning on that. But I was thinking, I'm like, Jenna looks like she weighs a little bit more than Kellyanne. It's like you would think maybe like the weight would bring her down faster, but maybe the fact that Kellyanne weighed less made it spin faster. Yeah. So that's why Kellyanne was getting down faster.
This is the second round. This is when they have to put the logs up and put them together. Kellyanne gets out earlier, gets to the logs, and she's looking at them. Before she even starts to pile them up, she's like, some of these are like too big and too small. They're all varied in size. I don't think they're going to stay put together like this. I think I got to rearrange them. So while she's thinking about this, Jenna finally gets off her swing, and she runs over to the logs and just stacks them up. She doesn't even stop to think. No shit, Jenna doesn't stop to think. She just goes in there and just blindly piles them up.
She was thinking. She's like, I have to beat her. The strategy is that she's running over there. She can see she's doing them one by one, Kellyanne. So Jenna's like, I'm going to grab 3 at a time. Let's do it as fast as I can.
Well, what I was getting at is that Kellyanne noticed that all her logs were out of place and that they weren't going to be okay with each other, how they were. Jenna doesn't think. She goes in, just puts them all together, and she wins, right? The whistle's blown for her, at least. Kellyanne, meanwhile, she's trying to rearrange all this stuff and put them together, and then they topple over. What I'm saying is there could have been a slight possibility of some foul play on the production part.
How so?
If Kellyanne's pieces are all rearranged, and she's like, no, they're like the big ones are on the top and the small ones on the bottom, they're going to be toppling over. Jenna's might have been perfectly arranged, and that's why she was able to just put them together.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think it matters the size of them at all. I think all that matters is that you have them centered and they're not lopsided. You don't have, even if they're a different size, as long as you have them centered on top of each other, the weight of them will still be in a straight line. If you have them offset, and if you're stacking them one by one, you're more likely to have them offset and have them leaning in one direction. If you're stacking them three at a time, you're more likely to just have them stand up straight because you're not going to have any variance on like an angle where they're kind of all tilting backwards. I mean, Kellyanne, I think she maybe overthought it a little bit. Or, well, I mean, it was a sound strategy what Kellyanne was doing. But Jenna knew she was behind, so she had to take a chance. Just, hey, I'm going to stack these, try and do it as fast as I can, and it worked.
Hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, Kellyanne's pile, it falls over, so she has to put it back together and then rebalance it. Finally, her time is stopped. And round 1 time and round 2 time is finally put together. And in the end, Jenna was faster. Kellyanne's out. And Anthony. And it sucks. I don't know. I was rooting for Kellyanne, hated Anthony, so I'm like, fuck you, Anthony, at the end. But I'm like, nah, Kellyanne, no.
TJ says she's unstoppable in the pit. This is the 3rd time she's won in the pit now. Give her some respect, damn.
I will give Jenna respect for this one. I think this one she truly had a matchup, you know? Oh, the one thing I have to add about all of this is that as soon as Kellyanne was pitted against Jenna, I was like, wow, Kellyanne's going to lose. Because in the trailer, we all see Zach and Jenna in bed hanging out with each other.
I never even thought of that.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, this sucks. And
wow, so you knew from the beginning. I didn't even think of that.
But it's something that a lot of fans of the challenge have to deal with. Like, a lot of it is spoiled. A lot of it is ruined just from the trailers, you know? It's just something you live with.
Everything MTV does in those trailers, it just either spoiling something or misrepresenting what you're seeing in some way. So it's ultimately just leads to disappointment where you're like, oh, this is making me exciting. Like, it's doing its job. Like, kudos to them for doing their job and making me excited. Yeah. But you feel let down afterwards and you feel kind of beaten and bruised and ashamed. Thanks, MTV.
Subscribe to our channel. Like the video if you like it. Yeah. Comment.
Not only like it if you liked it, but like it if you've actually listened to this entire hour of us talking. I feel like nobody listens long enough to get to the part where we tell them to like it. How many people do we have left? Like, how many episodes are there left? Because if there's going to be 3 teams in the final, like there's normally 3 teams in a final, and I feel like there's 6 teams left.
Oh, that makes sense, though. Yeah, there's 6 teams left, and so it's episode 8 right now. 9, 10, 11. That'll get rid of 3 teams, leaving 3 more left. That's episode 11, so episode 12 could be the final. Okay. 3 teams left. All right. And that's it. We're out of here.
Boom.